Hey everyone, I'm David Room. Tonight we're continuing on our recent work doing some Blender shader programming for spacecraft materials for my 3D space art. We've been making some really good headway on this with a stripes shader that we're using for a piece that I'm doing that has two ships in it. Kind of a neat in-battle perspective. And it's kind of inspired by some comments from last time from friend of the channel Jupiter BJY about using these kind of stripes as a identifier or kind of like a barcode on ships. I mentioned that for sure this happens in Star Wars. I think there's probably some other sci-fi art where this is done. And I realized that we're pretty close to being able to do this, so I wanted to just jump in. There's a couple shaders that need to be made. I don't think it'll be too hard to do these, knock on wood, given the pieces that we have. So let's just jump right into it. And we may or may not be doing a lot of Python programming today. Mostly I think we'll be doing shader programming in Blender, but I guess we'll see. I have the night kind of open. We're getting started a little early maybe compared to the last few times that we've done this, so we'll see how it goes. And I'm going to start up some music here. As usual, we're listening to White Bat Audio. We're going to try this 3-hour cyberpunk industrial dark synthwave mix Ether. Oh, and I am not connected. My headphones are not connected. All right. Let me actually switch over to the coding view here. Get these connected and then get started. I hope everybody's having a good evening. I'm having a nice evening to myself here, and I programmed all day at my day job, and now it's time to program on my personal project, so I'm pumped to be working on this. And I hope that if you're watching, you're motivated and inspired to work on some personal creative projects of your own. And if you do, I'd love to hear about them in comments or in the chat. Let's see here. Boy, having trouble tonight with getting devices connected. There we go. Okay. Here we go. All right. And we are going to be using Blender 5, Blender 5.0 here. Let me make sure that sometimes OBS does random stuff and we lose the screen share. It looks like everything is working here. We're going to be using Blender 5, and let's dive right in. So I'm going to open my asset materials blend file, and we've got a few things here that we're gonna do. So we have this stripes functionality, and I've been working on this random stripe shader, but what we're gonna do now is we're gonna make a couple components that will let us make non-random stripes. So I want to do something that lets me repeat a certain number of stripes of a certain width with a certain gap between them in a known position, so not random. And then I want to make a shader for a half space. So basically, instead of a stripe of a certain width, shade one side of a plane. And then, as long as we're working on shaders, there's a couple other tweaks that I want to make to materials. But let's just get into the shader programming first. Okay. Let's just get this dummy object out of the way here. Forget how to duplicate a node group. I ran into this last time. Oh yeah, you just have to click. You have to click this, don't you? Click the user button. Yeah, okay. So instead of multiple stripes, we're gonna just call this parallel stripes. And so this is going to be a lot the same, but instead of like min and maxes for these things, there's just going to be one value because it's going to be consistent. So let's kind of set up the inputs and outputs first. And actually, yeah, we're not going to have random colors or anything like that. This will actually be, we won't be coloring things. We'll just be, creating stripes, like a mask. So all of the color stuff can go, first of all. Okay, so get rid of this. Color stuff. We'll call this width. Actually, we'll call this stripe width. Call this gap width. And then just do a center and a normal as vectors. I learned not too long ago about the different colors. So the different types have different colors in the connectors. And that's really useful for identifying issues. Most of the time, I don't know, I find that I don't really want to have types changing, like basically types being cast or coerced. So that's a good way to look for, you know, things that need to be updated, is stuff like this, where you see that gradient where the thing is changing color. But okay, so let's get rid of this, and then for our repeat thing here, this is not going to be a color, it's just going to be a float. And we'll just call this value, right? And the group output here is just going to be called value. And it's going to be a float. This music goes hard. Okay. And we'll just do an add. Whoops. Spread stuff. Let's just get rid of all of this. We really don't need any of this. Let's get rid of some of these too. Oh. Kind of want that. Okay. So now basically we just have to accumulate the oh yeah, we've got to accumulate the we've got to accumulate the centers too. So let's value center. Value center. Okay, cool. And let's give a nice value actually to this. So let's do 3 stripes. We don't need this base color. 3 stripes. Stuff is grayed out, I think, just because it's not being used. Let me just check something. I think on my other shaders I did normalize. I normalized the spread, yeah. So this we can normalize this. Oh, actually, yeah, we don't need to. Yeah, we don't need to accumulate the center. What am I thinking? Because there's a nice... Okay, so... Yeah, alright. So we have one stripe. Now, to get the position of the next stripe, we've got to add an offset of the stripe width plus the gap width plus another half the stripe width. So we actually want the stripe width plus the gap width. So we should be able to do a vector multiply add, and the vector we're going to do this with is this. The multiplier, actually no, it's E. Yeah, it's not a multiply add, it's just multiply add. No, because we want to multiply something and then add it. So it's just a vector multiply. So we're going to multiply this guy by vector add of Okay, nice. So I've got a question from Prairie Fox in the chat. He says, do you use Blender professionally or are you doing some learning? No, so I'm not a professional 3D artist. I'm a software engineer, machine learning, AI, computer vision researcher by trade. This is like my fun hobby. And I've been using Blender off and on for maybe like 5 years or so. So just kind of a fun thing to do. I do a lot of math in my job. You know, machine learning, there's a lot of dot products and geometry and stuff, so it's kind of fun to do some art with it. So this is our, this is like our, this is our original center. And then this is our distance that each stripe is wide, multiplied by the iteration. And then we're going to multiply that by the normal direction and add it to the center. And that gives us our location for that stripe. Okay, and then the normal will also go into there. And our stripe width goes into there. Okay, now let's see here. Okay, so, okay, we're getting that. We're just not, actually, let's just turn on rendered view for a second here. Value should be starting at 0. Min max. Oh, there we go. That's supposed to be. Bring this across there. Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, that explains why I wasn't getting this. Okay, and we can go back to material preview. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's double check and just make sure that we did the math right in terms of the widths and stuff. So if we go back to 0.25, we should see the same width. And if we shrink this down to 0, okay, something's not quite right there. So that's, I wonder if that is, oh, that's because of my diagonal. Is that because of my diagonal offset? No, that shouldn't be causing it, but I guess we could check. Let's see here. Sometimes, yeah, okay, that's interesting. Am I not? Oh yeah, there's something not going on right with that normalization. Sometimes, interesting thing about shader programming is like sometimes there's like little non-obvious things that kind of creep in. So let's see, what's going on here? We've got this multiply. Definitely want to be, let's just drag this stuff around a little bit. See if, we get better ideas. I learned about how to make these little redirect nodes not too long ago, and that really helps keep things a little easier to understand. Let me see here. different multiple. Also, I could test some things here that would show up if I'm... Yeah, see, now that shouldn't be affecting anything because I thought I was normalizing that. Maybe I'm normalizing the wrong thing. Oh, there we go. There's the problem. This needs to be connected to there. There we go. Okay. Yeah. I was thinking of this like a pre-processing step, but then I was connecting the normal through without that at a different point. And I'm gonna just shuffle the order around here. So, because I have vector location normal width, and we want vector location normal width, and then count from the bottom. Okay, so Prairie Fox asks, have you played with geometry nodes? I don't understand them, but the stuff that can be done with them is cool. I haven't really done too much with geometry nodes because the way my project works is that I generate all of my geometry with Python code. And the reason for that is I want to be a little bit agnostic about what software I'm using. So I do a lot of work in Blender, but I also have a game that uses, it's kind of a like a low poly retro looking thing, and so I can generate all the assets for that with my code completely separately from Blender. And I also am generating models for 3D printing, and when I do that, Blender isn't involved at all. So I would like to do some stuff with geometry nodes at some point, but I think most of the kinds of things that people do with geometry nodes, I just do with Python code. I can actually change this to be called location. Yeah, okay. This is looking pretty good at this point. These I can actually just kind of combine because this is sort of obvious what this is doing, maybe. let's see if this looks like what I expect. So, yeah, I want that count up at the top. This looks like what I'm expecting. I can tilt this. I can actually plug in because this is You can actually set this type of this input to be a direction. You get this little sphere, but I kind of like just having these and normalizing it kind of makes it easier to play with. So this stripe example D, oops, and we've got to add a little color to this for how we'd actually use it. This. Cool. Okay, so that takes care of the parallel stripes. Let's make sure we're saved here. Gotta mark that as an asset. And then let's do a quick half space shader as well. So let's just duplicate this again. Click. Actually, no, that's not what we want. Actually, we'll just delete this guy. Okay, so this is actually going to be really similar to stripe, except, so we do want to, we'll have this be, yeah, we'll have this not assume that we're normalized. So we'll plug in and normalize to this. And yeah, so we're going to do the same thing again here, where we subtract the center, do a dot product, and then instead of this absolutes and width stuff, we're just going to basically go greater than 0, right? So yeah, instead of 0.5, it's going to be greater than 0. And does this make sense if we look at the coordinate system? I think so, yeah, because we want to be pointing that direction, right? And if we go back to here, like if we add in that, then we get the half space that points there, right? Okay. Yeah, okay, so those are the two things that I wanted to make that we were sort of missing before we try to do this stripes, barcode stripes thing, as Jupiter BJY called it. Let me just bring up the asset browser. There's one more thing that I kind of want to make if I don't already have it. I feel like I made one of these a while back. It's basically just like a shader that lets you add multiple things together. Instead of two things. And then clamps at the end. I should actually change the name of some of these to like stripes, multiple stripes. Yeah. I'm going to change the names of these so that they're grouped together. I have to modify my code quick. Well, yeah, I think that's worth doing. So stripes, multiple, new. Stripes, parallel, and refresh this. So we got stripe new, stripes parallel. Yeah. Half space, that's fine if it's there. Just like that was a three-way mix is what that was. Don't need it. Okay. So let's do this multi-add thing. Duplicate this guy again. Let's do a half space X. This, and then let's also do some I'm just gonna okay, so here our goal is going to be, we're going to put several of these together, and I'm going to just make a group. With a bunch of values. Just call them like A. So 6 is kind of a nice value, and then we're just going to add all of these. So add. this very last one we can clamp. Okay, so go like this, and then we can boop, 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 wire this up. Doing what we want first. So let's see here. Oh, this guy. Let's call, so put this one around like this, and then here, for this. This. Yeah, something like this. So that's picturing. And the middle of that so -5, 4, 0, yeah. And these cubes, let's see here. These cubes are 10 meters. Let's see. Oh, should be minus. Let's see if they're half meter wide, it should be. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so that is. That's basically what I'm looking for. Easy way to combine everything together. So let's add this node as an asset as well. And that makes it easy for us to combine these different things. Let's just nudge these up so you can see we've got 2 half spaces. This. Okay, so there's our node setup for combining a bunch of these together. Yeah, so let's just take a quick look at what this might look like on an actual ship. This should be really easy now to set up. Let's give it a try. And I was experimenting the other night with using the new sky shader with this ship. So I'm gonna continue that here. And I'm just gonna tweak a couple things here because scratches are right. And I figured out some things that scratches look a little bit better. I also don't want this to be quite so shiny. Okay, so here's our ship. Now let's just move this up a little bit. Whoops. And I'm going to add a plane for the ground. And we're going to scale this times 100 times 5. And we're going to give this a new material that's not so bright. Maybe more rough. Kind of looks more like concrete or something that it's on, setting on. You can even give this a little bit of color. Just as long as I'm here, we're going to give this just a little bit of texture too. This in here and this to be like just so we've got a little bit of texture to our ground surface. Okay, so now what we can do is we can drop in these stripes that we've been making. And just first, I'm going to get rid of these decals so that we're using the same material everywhere. Now we can try this this barcode thing. So in our original scheme, we have this constant color. Here, we can start doing some stripes. So we want a stripes parallel, and I want 2 half spaces. So I'm picturing this. And I want that add multi. Okay, so and I'm just going to set up a new texture coordinate here. This. 5, one, and then for these 2 half spaces, I want to have them color the outside of the ship, and then have a part in the middle that is striped. So, we'll say that they can be at x equals 5, minus 5, 1, minus 1. Oh yeah, width isn't being used. That's why. Okay, we gotta edit that in the original asset. I guess here we can just do it for now in here as long as we're here. Just this doesn't want us to edit it because we've brought it in as an asset. That's okay. So now we'll add these, and we'll do a color mix. Score here instead of this. Then that in as the factor, and then let's choose something like a gray as the background. Whew. This we want to be not each individual object, but the whole ship. Yeah. And our second color. Bring this way down. Kind of blue. Something like this. Actually, probably should go either narrower or wider with that outer, those outer half spaces. But this is basically what I was looking or thinking about. I bet this would render just fine with Eevee too, and that would actually be a little bit faster, probably. It's really dark in Eevee for some reason. Maybe the sky shader. It's funny. It's way brighter. Oh, it's actually all the indirect lighting. I'm sure. Maybe? Let's see if we turn on ray tracing. It looks good, it's just not bright enough in Eevee. Yeah, so let's see here. If we go like to 6 and -6. Yeah. What's kind of nice is you can make things line up with the panels, because the way I design these ships is they're all like pretty, they all have pretty nice, like even integer dimensions, different places. So yeah, and I could actually this tighter diagonal like that. That looks pretty cool. See, I can make more of these, right? I can make 10. Or I could make 5 there. And then I could make another 5 that go the opposite direction, offset by 10. Yeah, something like that. That looks pretty sick. Honestly, that looked pretty cool to overlap a little bit like that. Let's see here. Let's just tweak the color here a little bit, and then we'll call it good. I think this is the a nice result, basically what I was hoping to get here. darker. That looks pretty sweet too. Now let's get fancy. Oh shucks. Fix that. Let's see. Can we do anything where we add a little bit more detail to just the drives? So we're coloring. Basically, if you look at this, this is our mask for our colors. Instead of these being half spaces, I could make these stripes, or let's see here, could I see, could I do something where I add some kind of detail here? I could do some half spaces. Let's try something here. So if I go like this, I'm just trying to think if I can add some kind of diagonal element like this. And that's shallow enough that it misses the front, so it doesn't interfere with stuff happening there. So yeah, I can drop this in here like that. Oh, didn't happen. Oh, that's right. Yeah, because these were already. So I've got to turn these guys into. I've got to actually invert this. So I've got to do a invert. this. Nope, that isn't what I want either. Yeah, let's see here. I think do I want to I want to subtract. That's what I want to do. So I want to take this and I want to subtract. I want to take this and then I want to subtract this. Subtract. Subtract this. Yeah. Cool. So something like this. Yeah. That looks pretty cool to me. And I think we've gotten at what we wanted to get at here. Obviously lots of room for artistic tweaking and improvement, but something that looks pretty cool here. If we go into our we go into our environment and let's just turn this off, go back in space. Let's get rid of our plane. That looks pretty cool in space too. Let's just tweak our sun direction a little bit here. I've done some of this kind of stuff interactively before, but it's definitely way easier now with this with these node groups and stuff that we just made. Still turned off, that's why. I feel like this is too dim. Something happened to my lighting setup somehow, but that's okay. Get the idea here, and oh, it's maybe is it the roughness? Something got goofed up here somehow. But yeah, overall, this is the effect that I was looking for. Not sure what happened there, but cool. Well, I think I'm gonna call it there for tonight. But thanks everyone who hung out and watched. Probably will be moving on soon from some of this Blender stuff back to some more Python, 3D geometry, maybe some game stuff over the next few weeks, but we'll see. It's been fun. It's been fun getting into Blender again and looking at this stuff, and I feel like we have a lot of tools now that we did not have before. It really makes this kind of fun experimentation with models a lot more enjoyable than it used to be. When you're building everything from scratch all the time. I mean, it's totally doable, but it's maybe not as much fun as having some of these nice components that you can reuse. So, all right, well, thanks again, everybody, and have a good evening.